Today you'll be listening to Lesson 3-2, which is on decimal estimation. Again, you will find that this is really similar to the estimation with whole numbers. We're just going to be using decimals instead. All right, so today's goals are students will be able to use the 4 types of estimation to add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimals. There are 4 different strategies that we kind of looked at, some of them before. We're going to really focus though on the indicated place value like we did in chapter 1. But I'm just going to expose you to the other 3 because they might be a good strategy for you to use. So the 4 strategies are front end estimation, indicated place value, like we did in chapter 1, clustering, and compatible numbers. All right, so let's this is just to give you kind of a brief overview of what all the strategies entail. So front end is this, when you add or subtract only the whole numbers of a decimal. So you just drop the decimal part off completely. So if I'm buying these 3 items, I'm just going to add together how many whole dollars they are to see if I have enough money, and that's going to be close enough. So I would round $25.90 and just make it $25. I would make this just $10, $5, and then I can easily add and say those 3 items are going to cost about $40. So that's front end, where you just use the front end of the decimal. Indicated place value, when the place value to round to is given. For example, I'm going to underline the tenths place and look at the hundredths place to see if the 7 should round up to 8 or stay at 7. So just like we did before, it says round to the tenths. So we underline and we can circle the tenths place. We can draw our fence, peek over. Because this is an 8, I'm going to round that up from 7/10 to 8/10. And remember, everything to the left stays the same. Okay, over here we're going to circle the tenths place, peek over at the hundredths. That is a 3, so that's going to stay a 2. And then everything to the left stays the same. So this is a little bit easier to add. I'm just going to add 8/10 plus 2/10 is going to be 10. So I'll drop the 0, carry the 1, 3, 4, 5, and then the tens, 3 plus 6. So it's going to be about 95. Clustering. If all the numbers are around the same number, we can round them all to the same number and solve. So if I want to add these 3 decimals, I'm thinking to myself, look, all the numbers are close to 50, so I will round them all to 50 and then add. So I'll just do 50 plus 50 plus 50. Now you want to make sure the number you choose is somewhere in the middle. So this one's higher than 50, this one's higher, this one's lower. So those 3 are going to add up to about 150. So they all cluster around 50, so that's what we round to. And then we did compatible numbers in chapter 1 as well. That's where I'm just going to make it easy. This is really hard or impossible to solve in my head. So I'm going to round these both to something that's easy. So 78.24 2400ths is close to 80. And this is really close to 5. So that's going to be a lot easier. Or, yeah, or we could round it to 4. That's even easier. And that's going to equal 20. So you could divide by 5 or divide by 4. So that's how we can use compatible numbers with decimals. All right, so how might I use these outside of the chapter? What are situations where you might need to estimate decimals? I would say the number 1 for me is when I'm shopping. If I'm going to buy things and they cost different amounts, I'm not going to pull out my calculator. I'm not going to be carrying and borrowing in my head. I'm just going to estimate, round them each maybe to the nearest dollar, and add or subtract. And then see if you can think of another situation. Let's go ahead and look at this sample test question. I went to the store and bought 3 candy bars for 48 cents. I also bought a drink for $1.55. How much will it cost? Well, we're going to estimate that and choose which answer is closest. So this is actually your strategy stretcher for this lesson. So you can go ahead and do it on that sheet of paper, and you'll check the answer key later. All right. We're going to skip ahead here and take a look at place value just as a quick reminder. Again, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and 10,000ths. So when they ask you to round to the hundredths place, for example, that means you would circle this place value and peek over to see if you round up or down. So just review this quickly. Make sure that you remember what each of those place values is called. All right, so let's go ahead and give it a try. So remember, when rounding, we use the same rules. Remember this poem. Locate your number, look right next door. 5 or higher, add one more. 4 or lower, just ignore. So I'm going to, for each of these problems, I'm going to roll the dice. It's going to tell us what to round to. So the first one, we're going to round to the tenths place. So you're going to underline or circle the tenths place. Then it says you're going to look next door. So we're going to peek over at the next number. If it's 5 or higher, we're going to add one more to the tenths place. It is. So we're going to round this 5 tenths up to 6 tenths. Everything after goes away, becomes zeros. And then everything to the left stays the same. So 15 and 553 thousandths rounded to the nearest tenth is going to be 15 and 6 tenths. Let's try the next one. Okay, we're going to round this one to the hundredths place. So first I'm going to underline or circle the hundredths place and draw my fence. Okay, we're going to look next door. We're going to peek over the fence, and that's a 2. It says 4 lower, you just ignore. So this will become a 0, and this is going to stay the same. And then everything to the left is also going to stay the same. So bring down your 8, your decimal, and your 4. So 4.872 rounded to the hundredths place is going to be 4 and 87 hundredths. Now you can have zeros here, but they really mean nothing after the decimal. So we can drop off any zeros that are to the right of our last digit. All right, let's try this next one. We're going to round number 3 to the nearest whole number, which is the ones place. So we're going to underline the ones place, draw a line, peek over next door. It's a 0. Now remember, everything after our fence is going to be zeros. Because this is a 0, we have to drop our decimal, but 2 will stay the same. So will 6 and 3. Now 362.0000 is the same as just 362. Any zeros at the end after a decimal, we can just drop those off. All right, let's try this one. We're going to round this number to the whole number again. So we'll underline the ones place, draw our fence, and peek over. This is 5 or more, so we're going to add one more to the ones place. So this rounds up to 2. Drop down your decimal. Everything after the fence, remember, needs to become a 0, and everything to the left stays the same. Now, these zeros again are unnecessary. This is the same as 492, so we can just drop those off. Next problem, to the thousandths. If you want to go ahead and pause the video, try this one on your own, then you can unpause to see if you're right. All right, so I'm going to underline the tenths, hundredths, thousandths place and draw my fence. Let's peek next door. It's a 1. It's less than, or it's 4 lower or less than 5. So this will stay a 2. Drop down your 7, your 4, your decimal. Now everything after the fence, remember, becomes a 0. But since it's after our decimal number, this is the same as just 0.472. And the 0 in the ones place, you could write, but it really isn't necessary either. All right, try this last one. I want you to round this number, 92 and 458 thousandths, to the hundredths place. Go ahead. All right, so I'm going to underline the hundredths place. I'm going to draw my line and peek over. This is an 8. That is 5 or more, so this is going to go up 1 to 6. Everything after becomes a 0, and then everything to the left stays the same. Drop down your 4, your decimal, your 2, and your 9. So rounded to the hundredths place would be 92 and 46 hundredths. Make sure that your last digit, if you're rounding to the hundredths place, is in the hundredths place. All right, we are going to skip that actually. All right, so we're going to round each number to the thousandths place. So for each one of these, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, I'm going to go ahead and underline the thousandths place. All right. So we're going to look at the thousandths place. Look next door. It's an 8, so that's going to become a 6. So this will become 5.466. And I can see my answer is right here. All right, this next one, 0.867. Next door to the 7 is an 8. So the 7 is going to get rounded up to an 8. So we've got 0.868. Let's see if I can find my answer over here. And sure enough, there it is. Okay, if you want to pause and try the rest, and you can check your answers. So you can just find the number, write it in the blank, and cross it off. Go ahead. All right, so you can go ahead and take a look if you were correct. Biggest thing to look for here is if we're rounding to the thousandths place, you notice that the last number in each of these is all in the thousandths place. The thousandths place is 3 numbers after the decimal. Again, we just looked to the 10,000s to see if we round that up or if it stays the same. All right, so we hopefully have achieved our goal today. We've learned front end, indicated place value, clustering, and compatible numbers. Let's just review really quick. If I want to use front end, I'm just going to add the front before the decimal and do 22 plus 54 plus 4 and get my answer. Indicated place value, if we round to the tens place, I'm going to underline the tens place. This would become 12.67 is closest to 12. 89.2 is closest to 90. Oh, I'm sorry, this should be 10. 90 and 134 is closest to 130. Again, you notice that my last number is in the tens place. Clustering 29.7. These three numbers are all kind of around 30. So I'm just going to do 30 plus 30 plus 30. And here, let's make this easy. Let's round this. How about we'll do 20,000 times, we'll round that to 6. And then I could solve that easily. So hopefully you've got that. You're going to do a lot of practice now today on that front end estimation. So be really careful. One more, I guess, word of advice here. If we have like 7.8999 and you are asked to round to the hundredths place, something's going to happen. I just want to point it out really quick. Tenths, hundredths. So we're going to look here. I need to round this up, but I can't really round 9 up and put a 10 here. So now, just like we did last chapter, we're going to look at this as a number and say, what's one more than 89? And say 90. So it would be 7 and 9 tenths or 7 and 90 hundredths. So just watch out for that. If there's a 9 here that you have to round up, then you need to create that, make that into a 0, and then round up the next number instead. All right, good luck with this lesson.